so far. We're 48, we're 60 hours in now with no bombings. So
not even a small one.
And AFCENT is not up and running, preparing bombing runs. So as long as AFCENT's sort of quiet, that means not going to be any bombing runs. Doesn't mean that it can't turn around within 10 or 12 hours. But right now, all's calm on the western or eastern front, depending on which direction you're looking at it from.
Incredible movie, by the way. But yeah, and whenever someone's is saying how the US cannot afford to lose the Strait of Hormuz, etc., I just keep saying it's not. If Trump had enough munitions, I actually said that to someone close to me just before we started this interview. I said to them, I'm like, hey, Trump, the war's ended again. Just they're not follow politics. They're like, again? I'm like, yeah, for now, but don't give Trump credit, because if he had enough munitions, he'll still be bombing the hell out of Iran. So this is him ending it, not because he thinks it's the right thing to do. It's him ending it because he has no choice. There's nothing left to bomb. If there is enough bomb, you can still bomb the hell out of them consistently. It won't yield results, but you can maybe weaken them further. But more importantly, there's not enough munitions and interceptors, defensive munitions. And my team did a post. I sent them some numbers, and they did a really good post. I'll read it out to you as well. The math that doesn't add up, it's not the offensive missiles that the US is running out of. It's more importantly the interceptors. The US produces 96 SM3s, 125 SM6s, 600 PAC-3s, and 96 THAADs per year. Iran produces 3,000 Shahed drones and 3,600 ballistic missiles per year, plus the cost difference, $20,000 versus $4 million. So, and the argument there, as someone was talking about it earlier today, is a ceasefire benefits the side that can stock up quicker. If this is a ceasefire, not a complete end. And the one that can stock up quicker is obviously the ratio there is 1 to, 200 or 300. No, 1 to 200 or 150. 1 to 150 ratio in terms of the Iranians stocking up with offensive munitions a lot faster than interceptors on the American side.
Yeah. Gee, who was talking about this, say, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
It's just basic math, and that's what Washington seems incapable of doing. Is the basic math. The Lockheed Martin's production of those missiles, the PAC-3s, for example, it's not enough to replace what's being used. And again, it's not just the number you produce. You got to factor in, well, every time they fire one, they fire at least two. So whatever, they give you a number for 400, you're really dealing for 200 targets, not more, less. So, it's just, and it's terribly expensive, and it doesn't work. Other than that, boy, great, man, what a deal. Can we buy some more?
So another piece of news came out of NBC that claims that the U.S. Military commanders are allowing some Iranian missiles and explosive drones to pass through air defenses to conserve limited supplies of interceptors, according to two senior U.S. officials cited by NBC. So they're already doing what Ukraine has been doing, is not intercepting everything, even if they can intercept an attack, a drone or a missile, in order to preserve the interceptors. That's how low the levels have become, according to that NBC report.
Yeah, I think that's ridiculous. Oh, we're letting them go through? No, you're not letting them go through. Okay, can I just direct you to Sonar 21, my blog, sonar21.com, dated 3 March. The U.S. missile defense shortage is worse than imagined. So let's see, April, May, June. I called this 4 months ago. Now all of a sudden they're acting friggin' surprised about it. Because, I went through the numbers saying, from 2015 to 2020, the U.S. produced between 100 and 300 of those PAC-3s a year. And so I said, let's just for sake of assumption, let's go with the 300. Let's assume that every one of those years they were doing 300. That gives you 1,800 by 2020. And then in the succeeding 4-year period, the U.S. produced an estimated 2,200 PAC-3 missiles at 500 per year. So, and then in 2025, they got it up to 620. So, that was the total PAC-3s that were produced was 4,620. Now, so let's say going into 7 months, divide the 620 per year by 12. So you're getting maybe 50 a month. You're certainly not getting 60. So, but get 50 a month, and we got another 300. 50 times 6, 300 this year. So you go back and say that's 4,920. But you subtract out the 1,000 that were given to Ukraine. You subtract out 2,000 that were given to foreign governments. Well, that takes you down right there to 1,620. They fired 600 in the 12-day war. That leaves you with they entered this thing with probably about 1,000 PAC-3s tops. And how many have they fired so far? So, I mean, it's just the numbers don't add up. But like I said, I wrote about this on March 3rd. And yes, I am taking a victory lap.
Yeah. Do you think that's enough to convince Trump not to continue the war?
You convince Trump that you're going to be fighting with your hands tied behind your back and you can't defend yourself? Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think that's, but I also think the economic dimensions of this, the shortage of diesel, the shortage of jet fuel, that's also weighing in heavily.
Well, this is what I believe, obviously, and I believe for a while. But then, to kind of play devil's advocate, that all those realities existed 2 weeks ago when he decided to start bombing them again. So, you can't always be too sure. And Bibi's heading to meet Trump, according to him, soon. I don't know exactly when, but he just mentioned it a few hours ago. So I'm not sure what the intention is there.
I think Bibi's traveling tomorrow. So he gets to DC Monday night, Monday afternoon.
Oh, so he is traveling tomorrow?
Mm-hmm. I think so.
Yeah, that's what my team put as the title of the interview, but I didn't know it was tomorrow. I told them to remove it, to change the title.
Listen to your team.
No, because he did say he's traveling there. I didn't see when he's going to be going there. Also, another thing Netanyahu said, Netanyahu told ministers during cabinet meeting that was also earlier today, that the U.S. had presented demands from Israel for a broad Israeli withdrawal from Gaza, Syria, and Lebanon. That's according to Khan News. Netanyahu said he would reject the proposed demands.
Say that again. You said Israel presented demands?
No, the U.S. The U.S. apparently demanded.
The U.S. presented demands to Israel.
Yeah, to pull out of Gaza, Syria, and Lebanon, and Netanyahu rejected those demands. Just said no, according to Khan News. You think it could be true?
I think he's doing more. He's generating up a story that'll help him in his election. I think it's more.
Agree.
Let's call it fake news for trying to show that he's standing tough against the United States.
Yeah, I agree. Well, yes, but then what do you make of the Saudi thing? How the hell could Netanyahu go and tell Trump, hey, you signed a deal with Saudi for the nuclear program, but I want you to renege on that deal that was already signed, according to reports, and tell them, hey, you won't do that deal with them unless you join the Abraham Accords and do business with us, Israel. Just such a bizarre thing. Imagine you do a business deal with someone else, with the judge, and I go to you, I'm like, Larry, no, go tell the judge you won't do the deal unless he gives me $10,000. Like the judge would be like, what the hell are you talking about, Larry? Why would I give Mario money if I want to do a deal with you? If you want more money, tell me. But this is what's happening. This is the US telling Saudi, we'll do this deal with you only if you do this favor to Israel. It's just so freaking bizarre. And it's a big favor. You're asking Saudi to join Abraham's Accords, which you know they cannot. That people would lose their shit, especially after what happened in the last few years. Just a bizarre development that shows that Israel still has a lot of influence. And the Gulf would be pissed. Like Saudi is dealing now with the Houthis that have been emboldened by how the Iran war went. Now they're like, oh shit, we could do the same thing in Bab el-Mandeb Straits. So now the Saudis are suffering. The Saudis were also attacked by Iran. They have Iran controlling the Strait of Hormuz. And now the Americans are telling them again to join the Abraham's Accords. Like how many times can you slap and spit on the Gulf before they're like, all right, we're done with this?
The Israelis are doing the Saudis a favor. I mean, the U.S. nuclear reactors are crap. The U.S. has built 2 in the last 30 years. Go with Russia or China. They build, they're building like 1 a year.
China's.
So they've got actual capability and expertise. They've got actual workers that know how to do the work and get it done.
Why isn't Saudi going with them then?
They may decide, they may wake up and go, you know what, this United States is like a toxic girlfriend. Always drunk, always trying to beat you up in your sleep, spending money that you don't have. And at some point you got to say, you know what, we need to reconsider this relationship.
Someone needs to come in and do an intervention, I guess.
Absolutely.
That one you like. So Mike Waltz also said that Trump is because of the stockpiles being depleted. He talks about it. He admits. He says, "Wow, look, we have to take a step back here in that a lot of stockpiles were depleted." This is the U.S. ambassador to the UN saying that. Not only from what we gave Ukraine over the last however many years, but the fight with the Houthis and the depleted military under the Biden administration. They have decided, one, they're going to new types of munitions, cheaper munitions, new technologies, but also with these new defense budgets, rebuilding our great military. I want to be crystal clear. The U.S. military, and I have verified this in every which way, has everything that it needs to conduct this campaign against Iran as effectively as it needs to. So this is Mike Waltz admitting that they have to step back because of the depleted munitions, in line with the reports we've seen from NBC, CNN as well, about Trump being told of these munitions being depleted. And then we have this report. If you can play that video without the audio, please, Stephanie. Hormuz Province Chief Justice Mushtaba Gahramrani said that all tunnels, bridges, and transportation routes damaged during the recent U.S. attacks have been reopened ahead of schedule. So according to the official that takes care of the Hormuz province, which is one of the provinces that got bombed the most, this is just some of the trucks going to rebuild the routes and the bridges. He says all routes and bridges and tunnels have already been repaired ahead of schedule. And that's in line with another report by The Telegraph that says, quote, early in the war, if an Iranian missile launcher was struck by U.S. forces, it would take Iran 15 hours to make it operational again. Now they are able to fire missiles at U.S. bases in less than 30 minutes. It's a vague statement, but when I analyzed it, I think what they mean is that you don't have to keep playing the video, Stephanie. Once is enough. It's just a bunch of trucks.